the connection between fear and love makes sense. Because you see, when the body dies in the moment of fear, there's nothing, the body's always going to experience fear. That's natural. But fear is what's felt most of the time when the body dies. And when it dies, it's an explosion of love. Fear is next to death, and death is love. Fear is absolute love as well. What happens though is the person tries to get out of the fear, and then it becomes tight and contracted and awful, and it's impossible to get out of. But there's this bliss side. Bliss is not what I'm talking to. Bliss is another experience. But there's this boundless love. But there can be experience of fear and bliss at the same time when somebody's not resisting it. It can also just be fear, plain old fear. To my last question and your answer, but fear is there because I think there is somebody whom is in danger. It is not just life appearing and creating fear. It would be nobody, no fear. If there would be nobody, no fear would be there. Or how do you see it? I don't see that at all. Sometimes my dogs do not have a person in them. They do not suffer. Sometimes my dogs have fear for odd reasons, which a human most probably would call psychological reasons. Like Khaleesi, it's very funny this. Khaleesi also has vertigo, so she also has problem with movement. And she just drools when she sees the car sometimes, because she knows who's using it. Same as when I pick her up, put her on the motorbike, put her in the train. Fear is very natural for the body to be experienced. When the tigers are chasing zebras, the zebras have an energetic expression. The body has an energetic expression or chemicals of fear going through. They don't have a label for it. Some people might have the conditioning to be scared of spiders. That's not necessarily a personal thing. That's just a chemical thing. The body, the parents have taught them to be scared of spiders. Or the genetics determine that. My dogs knew not to go near snakes. I didn't even have to teach them. They genetically knew not to go near snakes. Yes, but there is no real thing to be arat of at the moment, and still there is fear. So it's created by the mind and a separate me or not. It could be created by the mind, but that's not necessarily personal. Still not necessarily personal. The fear is just in activity, the mind's just in activity of fear. It's when it's that person that's trying to get out of fear that's the problem. Because then there's also this energy that's trying and saying, this is wrong, this is bad, let's get out of it. Otherwise it's just there, it's just fear. It's boundless fear. All there is fear. Bong, bong, bong. I had to do how many, like 15 or 10, I don't know how many, flights in the last month, I think. And sometimes as soon as the body enters the aeroplane, it gets hot. And then it's hot even if the airplane's cold for the whole flight. It's having its reaction. The me, though, wants that to be wrong and to do something about it and get out of it. It's just association. My parents, afraid of flying, and they taught me to be afraid of flying. It's not their fault or anybody's fault, and it doesn't have to be got out of. It's as it is. Fear exists. It is as it is. It's not wrong nor right, just full-on expression. It's not even that word, fear. Fear. It's it's so boundless, and it also can be quite blissful because it's so intense. Yes, but it is not the mind the person. No, thoughts aren't the person. The personal energy is something separate. No, it doesn't really matter all this, like I could explain it all out of what I mean to you, Karuna. So I say this quite a lot. It's funny how the mind doesn't want to hear it. I'm sorry that I say the mind and the me energy and I confuse them together for you. Not all thinking is personal, and the body's going to have certain conditioning and genetics, and that's not necessarily personal. Or that's not personal. What happens is this personal energy then claims it and says, I don't want this conditioning. I don't want to experience fear. I don't want the painful things. It's going to be painful conditioning. It's going to be fear of certain things. So the me is only the movement of I want or I don't want. It's an energetic thing that's claiming things. This is who I am. This is good, this is bad, I want, I don't want. So funny what you say Karuna wants. Well, she wants to find out what is missing to let go, to be enlightened. Bollocks, does she want that? That's what she thinks she wants. She wants a permanent state of pleasure. She doesn't want to let go of herself. Nobody would want this. Nobody would want the end of themselves. Don't we like those words? Bollocks. Also, how did you know that in Bali your ego did explode and you would not shift anymore? How did you notice that now the flip-flopping most likely is over? I didn't know how. I didn't know that. That's what I'm always saying. So I don't really tell the story of Bali. Yet it gets asked and asked and asked and asked. It's just a story that appears when people push for it. I don't know that. Who would know it? It's just what is. This is very unsatisfactory for that person. I like it. It's funny, isn't it, what's liked and not liked? Maybe the innocence of it can be heard. The not trying to present something. Well, so nothing to do, right? No, Karuna! No! You say, I just want a constant state of pleasure, so let go of that would also not work, right? Round and round and round. It's not found in that. It's not found in what I do or what I don't do. Constant state of pleasure, or that's what you're thinking it is. You're thinking and not hearing. It's not you though. But that's okay. It's the way it is. I don't say there's nothing you can do. I say there isn't a person. But when the person seems to be there, what it's doing is trying to get somewhere, and believing it can get somewhere. I'm trying to point to the illusion of that.